And now we are going for the last presentation of the Working Group 6, which was focused on good practices in improving the access of Roma to housing in the rural and urban areas. It will be presented by Eva Sobotka from the Fundamental Rights Agency, and she's also co-organizer of the conference.
Thank you very much, Lucia. As you already heard, the Working Group 6 focused on good practices in improving the access of Roma to housing in rural and urban areas. We have not really focused on much of an elaboration what constitutes an ideal good practice, because looking at the field, I think more consistent evaluation and assessment of the initiatives undertaken would need to take place to be able to come to that conclusion. But we approached the subject in a very practical way. So several examples of projects were presented, one from the UK, one from Ireland, two from Spain, from Andalusia and from Navarra, and one from the Czech Republic, and sort of like a horizontal presentation across these all examples. We have heard a presentation by the OHCHR office Brussels on human rights budgeting, which is a very interesting insight, because it did bring across an understanding that housing is a fundamental right, and also it brought a little bit more linkage between the different elements of the practices back to the principles of human rights. So that was very nice conclusion coming out of the discussions. The key elements running across the good practices that we identified as common and perhaps also transferable, therefore, were basically the importance of early planning with the actual community in question, and also intensive consultation throughout the whole housing project. That means in its initial stage, but it's also in a stage when it's already completed, yet there is also some additional work to be done, intends to linking it to full social inclusion. So planning and consultation, those were inputs primarily from the examples from Spain, but also from the UK and the Czech Republic. The second point was about the need to monitor and impact of these projects, and the fact that to some extent it has been done, but it has been done also only in isolation at the level of the given activity, not interlinking it, for example, to looking at the overall benefit for the given area, which is maybe something that would be useful to consider in terms of research and data collection, because it simply gets across a little bit of a different message as to what integrated societies mean and what is the overall benefit from improving housing situation of one particular disadvantaged group or a group of population. So that was another point, some food for thought for future research. The other point that also ran across very much as a transparent lesson from the presentation was the fact that it is to the detriment of the actual project or initiative, housing project, when it's not properly interlinked with existing national policies, either that one related to integration of Roma or mainstream policies, at the local level. And quite telling examples were mentioned from the case presented by a speaker from the Czech Republic, where a rather large proportion of property was restored, yet the decisions coming out of the local level and national level authorities concerning the additional services that are needed for the area to succeed were simply going in the opposite direction. So to be more precise, whereas there's been a lot of investment coming into certain area, decisions to close down a police station in the particular locality, or simply reallocate certain focus from the social inclusion policy from that area, is not something that would bring a long-term sustainability of such an initiative. And sustainability was largely a concern for all these examples presented, because as we know, interventions in housing are not only interventions in housing, they are interlinked to other areas of life. And the note that basically what happens with these people when issues such as large percentage of unemployment are not addressed somehow simultaneously still kind of hangs in the air, and none of these projects were able to, in fact, respond adequately to, or consider some kind of response within their own scope, which then brings back to another lesson from the whole exchange, is that the interlinkage to the policy and the strong partnerships between municipalities, between private actors, between the actual community, national government, and others, schools, police, others, is essential. So I think I would leave it at this and maybe come back when some questions will arise.